Hi friends, welcome here. My name is Oceana. I'm going to be sharing all of my fall book recommendations. I do have a video from last year that I will link down below because I don't think I repeated any books. I'm trying not to repeat any books from that video, so I'll link it down below. I still stand by those books as good recommendations, and I want to recommend some more to you. So I don't have a ton, but I just want to tell you like what the genre is, if it's clean, the language, all of the content levels, and then you can decide if they're good picks for you. So I'm going to start with all of the contemporary options and then the fantasy and then like historical/biblical fiction after that. So I'll link timestamps down below for those genres if you want to skip around, but here we go. So within the contemporary genre, I will start with young adult. Now this is my first recommendation, If I Stay by Gayle Forman. This is such a random old book, but I recently found it in my collection when I was like redoing my shelves and I was like, what? I remember loving this book. I watched the movie first and the movie was like so heart-wrenching that I was so curious, like, what is this book that it's based on? And so I did read it. This is actually a duology. There is a second book, and I gave both of these books 5 stars. I've read them multiple times, and I still stand by that. It has been years and years since I've read this, but I still like have such fond memories of it. It is definitely sad, okay? It's a sad book. The way that it's told also gives hope, which is just crazy to say because it's not a Christian book at all, but there's no language in this book. It's clean, but you basically follow this girl who is in a terrible car accident with her parents and her brother. When she's in the hospital, she ends up kind of being a ghost, you could say, or just like she has like an out-of-body experience where she gets to walk around. Her body is in a coma, but she is like walking around and following people in the hospital and seeing what's up with her family and seeing what her extended family is doing. And it was so intense but very captivating. And I don't know, like I would recommend it. If you have never read this book, like I think it's a snowy setting. If you want a young adult option that's contemporary, check this out. There is like a touch of romance as well because she does have a boyfriend, so you see a little bit of that as well. And I don't know, I still think that this is such a good book. And I really liked it. And then I really loved the second one too. So yeah, there's my first recommendation. Next, I wanted to recommend Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. I don't remember the author, but I'll put the cover on the screen. So personally, I didn't love this book, but it is such a sweet fall book, and there will be younger people that probably will like this book. I think adults will find it annoying because the kids in this book definitely act like kids, and I don't know, maybe it's realistic to some people. So I still wanted to let you guys know it's clean, there's no language, and it has such cute fall vibes, such a cute cover. So if you wanted to give it a try, I would recommend it. There was nothing wrong with it, but I just did not enjoy reading from these characters' perspectives, so there's that. On to some adult fiction. This is a classic. This is Can't Help Falling by Courtney Walsh. It's not really like, it is set in the fall time, but it doesn't have super fall vibes. It just has a fall cover and has a fall title and has super cute romance. So, you know, but this was fun. This is like brother's best friend. Yeah, no, best friend's brother, and like kind of childhood friends to lovers. So cute. So cute. Firefighter, okay? He saves her. It's super cute. And yeah, I liked this character a lot. She was very relatable, and so highly recommend. It was really fun, and this is totally clean, no language, so we love that. Okay, then for another adult recommendation, I would recommend The Mountain Between Us by Charles Martin. This is actually a really good book and very like interesting and intense, and if you want to get into something that's like very atmospheric, that's what I would say for this book. It's also a good winter book because you follow this couple. They're not like together, but this guy and girl who are trying to get home for the holidays, I believe, or they're trying to get home for some reason, and everything's canceled because of storms, but they charter this plane that is gonna like kind of take a route around the storm, but the route makes them like have to go over these mountains and like in the wilderness. And the pilot, you know this from the back, the pilot has a heart attack and dies, and the plane crashes in the snowy mountains, and they're in the middle of nowhere, no cell service, freezing cold, and the two of them have to survive. And so you follow that like survival aspect, but then you also follow their backstories, so you get flashbacks of them, and it was told so well. This is a clean book. There is no language in it. If you know the movie, there is a scene in the movie, but that is not in the book, so don't be deterred from that. And I just was captivated by this book, and I think it's a great fall/winter option, so definitely recommend. So on to fantasy now. So my first fantasy recommendation, it has been so long since I've thought about this book, but I looked through all of my books on Goodreads, and this one stood out. I was like, oh yeah, I actually used to own this book, but I don't know where it went. So it's Long May She Reign by Rhiannon Thomas. So this is a standalone fantasy book. It's clean, there's no language, and it's so interesting. So basically you follow this girl who's like 20th in line for the throne. So she knows she's never gonna get it. She's just chilling. She is royalty technically, but like so far down the line that like it's gonna be fine. But then they're at this party and the entire royal family is poisoned except for her. So she is now the only heir because everyone dies. And she's like, what? Who killed my entire family? Now I'm the queen. What do I do? So you follow that story, and it was so fun. It was very like, I don't know, deep. You got to know the characters. You got to like follow this mystery with her. It was interesting. I liked the setting. So overall, like this is just a medieval fantasy book. The medieval fantasy part was very mild. Like it was nothing, you're just in a castle, and yeah, then you get to like discover who poisoned her whole family, and she's the queen and she has to figure that out, and then there's a little romance too, and it's just a solid book. So like if you can get your hands on this, highly recommend. I really enjoyed it when I first read it, but who knows where it is now. Okay, and then I would also recommend Mark of the Raven by Morgan L. Busse. This book, I was surprised I liked it. Okay, this is a Christian fantasy book, so basically I guess you would call it allegory or like metaphor, one of those. So you follow this world where there's a bunch of kingdoms, and then there's this kind of like evil kingdom that is against all the other kingdoms. So I didn't catch how this happened, but each kingdom that's on the good side has a power associated with the royal family so that they can defend their kingdom with that power. And you follow a girl in one of the kingdoms where the power is dream walking. So if they touch someone sleeping, they can go into their dreams and like kind of manipulate them and like see them, explore them, whatever. They can also kill people doing that. So their kingdom is actually turned sour, and her mom is like very evil and wants her to kill people with her power, but she has like such a soft heart and doesn't want to. So you follow her like kind of navigating that. And then one of the other kingdoms is a kingdom of the light. They know the light, which is like God. So they want to unite all of the kingdoms against this evil force. And so they all meet at this Dreamwalker's kingdom, and he meets the princess because the guy he's king as well. Something happened to his parents, I forget, but he's the king, but he's like prince too. And so cute. So that's that. Very cute. I was into the romance. The politics I totally skimmed over, could care less. There was a lot of characters because there's a lot of kingdoms, but I really liked seeing this girl figure out how to navigate her new power, her feelings for this guy, and has a crazy ending. I haven't read the rest of the books, but I've heard that they're good, so I would recommend this. It goes a little bit dark because like they're in people's dreams trying to kill them, so like you could say that's kind of dark. But otherwise there's like no language, it's clean, all the things, so would recommend this for the fall. Okay, then I actually think I might have recommended this in my last video for last year's fall recommendations, but I'll recommend it again. It's the Lunar Chronicles. This is Cinder. This is such a fun series. Highly recommend. There's no language. It's clean. And it's a sci-fi series. So they are also based on fairy tale stories. So this one's obviously following Cinderella, and in this world, they have been able to colonize the moon, but the people living on the moon have these powers, and so people are scared of them, they don't like them, and it's kind of like the Earth versus the moon. And then on Earth, there is this plague going around that is killing people, and they don't know how to fix it. There's always some kind of plague in these fantasy books. Anyways, but then you follow this girl who is half cyborg because she was in a terrible accident, and on Earth, cyborgs are seen as like lesser humans. People are afraid of them. They're scared of them. They don't like them. So she's like a lower class citizen, and she ends up having to help the prince like repair this robot that he has, and that's how they meet, and then it goes from there. But it's a very fun series. Each book follows a different fairy tale retelling, and I would highly recommend. It's just super entertaining and such a satisfying ending as well. So yeah, great one for the fall. Okay, I am going to show A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer because this is such a great fall book, but I'm going to have some cautions on this recommendation as well, just so that you know what you're getting into. So this first book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Is that right? Yeah, Beauty and the Beast. But it kind of like drifts from there. Like that's the initial inspiration, and then the rest of the books aren't really about anything else. But this first book was awesome. I loved it. It's a 5-star book for me. I was so entertained, and I really liked the romance in it. So you follow this world where there's alternate realities. You follow this girl who's just living, I think she's in New York. She's like a normal present time girl, but she gets sucked into this fantasy realm where there is a curse on this kingdom, the Beauty and the Beast curse. So this guy, or the prince turns into a monster, and he's trying to find a wife to cure the monster curse, pretty much. And so she gets sucked into it, and she's supposed to fall in love with him. Sounds fine. I will say the magic gets a little bit evil. There's this like evil sorceress in it who has put the curse on the kingdom, and she's like pretty evil. Okay, I'll say that. It didn't rub me the wrong way. I was fine with it. She was seen as evil. It was fine. I was okay with it. Then the main girl character, her brother, is in a relationship with another guy. So it's mild. It's not really like, it was totally fine for me in this first book. You do get a little bit more of their relationship as the series goes on. So just so you know, it's there. And then yeah, it does get kind of like evil. And then in the second 2 books of this trilogy, there are like fade to black scenes. And there's like a little bit of build up to the point where I would like just caution, like it's fade to black, but you know, like what's going on. So if you don't like that, then don't read it. But I still just read this first book. I really enjoyed it. This has the lightest, mildest content that I've just said. And so that's why I would recommend it. It's a good fall option, and I still really like this book and I stand by it. I probably have recommended this book in so many videos as well, but I'll just quickly show it. It's Heart of Red, Blood of Blue by Rebecca Belliston. This is the best Christian fantasy out there for young adults, so highly recommend. Yeah, it's very mild on the fantasy, but there are kingdoms, but it's set on Earth, and you follow this princess on the run because she was getting forced to marry this nasty old king that she doesn't want to marry, and there's war, and there's an assassin going around killing her family, so she's scared, and you find out a lot of different things. It's so good, totally clean, no language. There's a little bit of Christianity in this book too, and it's just so good, very entertaining. It's just a standalone. I wish there was more books. I wish this author wrote more books, but check this one out. It's really good. Okay, on to like biblical / historical fiction. So I'm going to start with Thief of Corinth by Tessa Afshar. So I know Tessa Afshar has such amazing books, and I've only read a few of them, but all of her books have either been, well, I gave one 3 stars, but most are either 4 or 5 stars. And Thief of Corinth was 5 stars. She writes characters and plot so well, in my opinion, with some romance, and she just makes like the setting come to life. So this is based in like biblical times. It's based in like the kind of the Acts time. So you know that Paul is a character in this book, but you don't follow any actual Bible characters. You follow this girl who her dad is in Corinth, I guess. Yeah. But I feel like it's Ephesus too. I don't know. I forget. One of those letters of the Bible. He's living in one of those towns. And she wants to go see him. Her childhood friend and her romance it must be Corinth. They go to Corinth and they're trying to find her dad. And just, that's like the basic premise, but there was romance, there was like mystery, and I loved it. If that sounds good to you, then check it out. Like, yeah, it's based in the Middle East, and it's got some Bible times. There's faith in it, and I really recommend this book. Any one of her books probably for the fall would be great. I would love to keep reading her backlist, but she has a lot of books now and I'm behind. So yeah, but Thief of Corinth, definitely recommend. That was 5 stars for me. Then I'll also recommend Counted with the Stars by Connilyn Cossette. This was my first ever book by her, I think. And this book is set in the Moses timeline of like all of the plagues of Egypt. And you follow this Egyptian girl and her perspective of the plagues. and they have a Hebrew slave. So that's kind of how she like learns about God and what the plagues are doing. And I actually loved reading her day to day and seeing everything from her eyes. I thought it was so well done and I was very captivated. And then she does end up joining the Hebrews and leaves Egypt with them. So I loved it. I would definitely recommend it. I did give it 4 stars because I didn't love like the wilderness part of it, but the first like 3/4 of it were so good. So I would still recommend it. Okay, and then I would recommend Iscariot by Tosca Lee. This is like a retelling of Judas Iscariot in the Bible, but it's definitely speculation because you see him as a boy and growing up, and then when he meets Jesus and everything that we know in the Bible. But this just gave me such a beautiful perspective on Judas, and I just loved it. I know it's not for everyone, and I'm not saying that this is truth, but just the perspective it gave me on Judas, I just painted him as like an evil character in my mind. But after reading this, like, he's just like all of us, and we're just like him, and we're no better than him. Just we've chosen Jesus and he didn't. But I don't know. I just was very like, I related to him a lot. So I still think this is a great option to just explore this character and get another perspective on him. And then lastly, I will recommend When the Day Comes by Gabrielle Meyer. Who would have thought this book would ever be in a recommendation video from me? But yeah, this book, this series, you probably have all read it, but I'll just say that the writing and the storytelling are really good in this book. And despite me not liking historical fiction, I still liked it, which is saying something. Like, that's a testament to the writing, because most things frustrated me. Like, a lot of the characters did, the romance did, and even the main girl did a little bit. She was actually the most relatable though. I forget her name, but Libby? I don't know. The premise is that her family has a lineage of women who can time cross. So they wake up one day in a time period, and then the next day they wake up in a different one, and then they alternate those 2 timelines, and that's what you follow. It's a completely separate family in both, and it's just fascinating the way she wove faith into it and just God's sovereignty into it so seamlessly, in my opinion. Like, it actually works. I actually was into it. And then the twists and turns that she puts in these books are so entertaining. And so I've got videos of me reading the first 2 books, so I'll link them down below if you want to see my reactions, because it's just funny. Like, she definitely takes me on a ride, and they're not 5-star books for me, but the entertainment value is there for sure. So it's a fun series to get into if you want to read something for this fall. Okay, so there are all of my fall book recommendations for 2024. I'll write them all down below. Thank you for watching, you guys. And I'm losing my voice now, so I need to go and drink some water, but have a good day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.